We are speaking with the one and only guitarist Gus G. The new album is Quantum Leap, and it is also his first all instrumental solo album. So, as we say here in Montreal, bonjour. How are you?
Bonjour. Yeah, I'm good. How are you? Thank
Good,
you.
good. So, by the way, how do we say that in Greek? Bonjour. How do we say hello in Greek?
Yasu.
Yasu. So I should know that. My
Yasu.
wife, my wife is Greek. I should know that.
Oh yeah, that's like the basic. Yes. Yes.
I'll
She
go
she,
tell her.
she
She must know that. I'll go tell her that
go,
later. But
go surprise her. Yeah.
yeah, because all I say is popo, and it's just like that doesn't go over very well.
Popo. Yeah. Oh my. Right.
Yeah, can't be saying that too often. So but let's get into this here because you've done solo albums in the past, and you've had vocalists come in, guest vocalists, and others. Was this a reaction to the pandemic where just getting together with other people wasn't going to happen, or did you actually say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to be like Steve Vai. I'm going to be like Satriani. Hell, we're going to make an all instrumental.
Yeah, it was more like the first one. I definitely didn't say I'm gonna be like Satriani or Vi. It's
Well, you could be.
impossible. I this is the thing because of records that these guys have made, and because like the standard is so high. It's always like I always thought, well, why bother? Like, what is there to do? Like, it's been. I mean, these guys have they've put out such masterpieces that I never thought there was such a need for like a too many instrumental shred albums around. Um, so it was more of a case where I just had to keep myself busy somehow once the lockdown started. And I thought, well, I can't travel really. And I didn't really feel like exchanging files with people. I mean, I do that anyways all the time, but I was just like, just very, kept to myself more or less and to my family. And I just, would turn on the computer in my home studio and just put down ideas. And then I thought at some point, well, maybe this is the right timing to do that instrumental album that I've been thinking about all these years, but
Right.
I never really had the balls to do it. So now was the time. I could really focus into something like this, into a project like this. And it was interesting because I didn't know how to make an instrumental record. I've done
Yeah.
instrumental songs before within records
Right.
that I've done that had vocals, but never as a full
Yeah.
project, full on project with
So
no
it's like
voices.
where do you start and where do you finish? Right. It's like, okay, is it going to be 45 minutes? Is it going to be an hour? Like, how do you? Right.
Yeah. And what is the starting point? Like, it really is like, what kind of music am I gonna play? Like, obviously, it will be within rock or metal, but should I just start playing like bluesy stuff or boogies or something, or should I just play like real like metal stuff? But I quickly realized it doesn't. It can be all of these things together. Like with instrumental music, you can sky's the limit really, because the one element that is there that glues everything together is the guitar. So you can have like an acoustic track, and then you can have like a, I don't know, a very atmospheric track, and then you can go into something that's like balls to the wall metal kind of thing, and then you can do like a blues track, and then you can, I don't know, you can do a country track. It
Well,
doesn't really matter. I mean,
you can do
it's
whatever
you
you
can just,
want.
yeah.
Let me ask you about the writing process for this, because when you're writing a song with lyrics, sometimes the lyric comes first, sometimes the melody comes first, sometimes it's a great riff. For this, how do you decide, or how does the song come together? I mean, are you just sort of sitting on the corner of the bed playing something and go, oh, okay, that's a song? How do you decide? Because when you're doing like the OZZY album, you're going, okay, I got to get the guitar part to fit that vocal. I got to get. What are we
Yeah.
doing here?
Well, that is kind of like the, I guess,
The $1 million
the,
question.
well, no, but it can be yeah, I guess, because I usually what I do is I will start with some ideas that I've already had, like in
Right.
my computer, like half finished ideas or a riff here and there. And I'll look at it and revisit it later and be like, hey, can I do something out of this? How does that work? And so I'll usually get a starting point to help me, give me some sense of direction. And then that'll probably most times spark new ideas, and I'll start writing stuff from scratch. Um, so I guess that happens to me when I do vocal records, and this time it was no different. The problem was like how to develop these ideas and how to basically fill that space that usually was taken by a voice. Um, but essentially, melody, just like with vocals, melody is the king. You need strong melodies, and
Yep.
that's what I heavily relied on. And at the same time, with instrumental music, you can go so many different directions. You can change tempos, you can do key changes. So all of a sudden you can have totally different mood swings. So you can play really technical stuff, you can go back into it. So there's all these things, so you just kind of like follow the song and try to feel inspired, I guess. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there were a couple of songs that I had to really go in there and do several versions and dissect them and put them together again and again and again until they came together. And then there were songs that I just wrote in 15 minutes. It's strange.
Well, listen, when you listen to interviews with the guys like, Paul McCartney or Mick Jagger and stuff, and you go, talk about that song, they go, I wrote it in the back of a taxi on the way to the hotel. And you're like, what? So, yeah, it doesn't mean anything how long it takes. Sometimes inspiration is immediate. So now that you've gone through the process and you've done this first solo album or this first instrumental solo album, did you enjoy the process? Do you go, you know what, I'm ready for another one? Or do you go, all right, you know what, give me a vocalist, give me Firewind, bring back OZZY, whatever, let's get back to that?
No, you know what, I would do it again for sure, because now I first of all, this project saved my life last year. Just it helped me so much, just being at home and having a new record and not being able to tour and do nothing and really sitting there trying not to get sick or whatever, so with all this crazy stuff happening around us. So it really helped me. So now that I got the grip of it, I think I would definitely do something like that again. I mean, it's kind of early to think about what's next, but
no, but you understand the process now. You go, okay, I know what this is about. So when you said it helped you, was it a question of like mental health? Were you sitting at home sort of just going back, crazy, and then you go, I need something to focus on, I need a purpose?
Yeah, totally like that.
Wow.
I mean, I enjoyed time at home, being with my family, with my wife and the cats and everything. And then, so it was great. And I realized I really needed to do that as well, because I've been on tour for like what seems like 20 years. But yeah, aside from that, I there were like ups and downs like everybody went through. The whole uncertainty of all this. What is, when is this going back to, when is our life going back to what it used to be, and how is it going to be, and when will we be able to play some music live again and see people? And so all these things are like messing with your mind. So yeah, music was the savior through all this.
Listen, it was the savior to me as well. I spent my time building playlists so I could listen to Metallica and Scorpions, and you know, it's a great savior now. And also UFO, which brings me to Vinny Moore. You have Vinny on Force Majeure, or as we say in Quebec, Force Majeure. Talk to me about Vinny, because being in UFO, he sometimes gets overshadowed by fans with Michael Schenker this and Paul Chapman that, but Vinny is a great player. Talk to me about having him on there, and what did he bring, and did he offer any suggestions in terms of how to make an instrumental record, because he's made many?
Yeah, well, Vinny, in my opinion, he's one of the greatest. I've been a big fan of his. I mean, I've been very influenced by his solo material. I mean, I grew up listening to his records, so I'm way more familiar with his work as a solo artist rather than UFO. With that said, I was there at his first gig with UFO, which was in my hometown here in Greece. That was his first show ever with UFO, and I was there. And I just heard they're gonna play their last show again in Greece.
Yeah, and so, you'll be there.
I'll try to be there if I'm not doing anything else, of course. Yeah, if I'm not traveling, I will definitely go and see that show. Get
Firewind to open. I mean, come on.
That would be great. That would be great. Maybe we're a bit too heavy metal, but
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Who cares?
Yeah.
get to open for UFO, and they have a live album out that came out in, I don't know, 2006 or something, called Showtime, and you get to hear Vinny on those songs, and you just go, wow.
I've seen Vinny with UFO a couple of times besides that Greek show, and the guy's on fire. He's like, he doesn't get enough credit for his work in UFO.
No.
But generally, he's like a very low key kind of guy. He is like that as a person, you know. He just lets the music do the talk. Without
But how
much.
did you meet him? How did you get him on the album?
I've been friends with Vinny for about 10 years. So he was doing a solo tour here in Greece, I think 2010, and I met him, and we actually jammed on stage that night.
Wow.
Yeah, and we kept in touch. I was just like new to OZZY at that time, and he came out to when I was touring the States with OZZY. He came out to with his family to one of the shows. So you know, we've been buddies, you know, like throughout the years, and eventually our booking agents put something together, and they asked me, "Would you like to do some shows with Vinny?" And that was 2017, and I was like, "Yeah." So we ended up doing a tour with Richie Kotz and Vinny Moore and me. I mean, talk about a guitar player's wet dream, you know. So I was like, wow, you know, I was like a kid again, you know. So prior to the tour, I had this song, and I reached out to Vinny and I said, "Look, man, I want to put out this single to kind of promote the tour and stuff." It was right after I'd put out my album Fearless, which was my previous album. And I said, "Would you do the honor to play a guest solo on it?" And he did it. He did a great solo, and you know, he admitted that was not like, he hasn't done any of this neoclassical type of stuff since the 80s, because he went into more of a classic rock path later on. But he totally shredded, man. And then that's what it was. You know, that was a single that we put out 3 years ago to kind of promote that tour that we were going to do together. And that song did really well, and I just put it on the track list of the new album because I thought it should be part of a full album playlist, you know, a track list. So that's the story for that song. So I decided to put it as a closing song on the album.
I agree. I mean, you know, moving forward, obviously you're still going to do the Firewind stuff, but do you see yourself becoming, like we talked about, a Satriani or a Vi, where you want to have, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 instrumental albums and go out and do 3G kinds of tours, or in your term, your GG, so 2G, but you the 2G tours. But do you want to go out and do that stuff, or is this is for fun and go buy it? But I'm a band guy and I want to go on tour and be in a band, and I want to be, you know, where do you see yourself in the future?
Look, I've done numerous solo tours so far because I've done 3 albums already. But I've always had like a singer in the solo band. So I've never really been there on that stage by myself doing a full instrumental set. I'm pretty sure that would be very demanding in a totally different world. As much as I am a band guy and I'm used, you know, I have my own band and we have our history and our thing together, and I'm really comfortable in that. I wouldn't be opposed to, you know, if I have enough material to do a full instrumental show, I wouldn't be opposed to go out there and do that. At least try it and see if that's something I could do. I mean, I've toured with guys, with other guitar players that do full instrumental sets, like, you know, like Vinny and Angel Vivaldi and guys like that. And it's demanding, man. It's demanding to be a showman and play all these things at the same time. But I would be up for a challenge like that. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm not sure if that can be like the main vessel for my career, but it can be like a side thing next to what I'm doing with Firewind.
Well, by the way, the Firewind album that came out in 2020, you didn't really get to tour it. Was that frustrating?
Yeah, you bet it was.
So, and I'll just ask you one Firewind question based on that. Since you really couldn't tour it, do you sort of get back in the studio and say, let's just make a new album and we'll sort of do a tour where we promote both at the same time? Or do you just say, screw the new album, we have to do a tour before we can move on?
I really couldn't have gone back into, like, as soon as I did that album and I really felt strongly about that album, I still do. It just wasn't something I could do right away again, like go back into, okay, let's make another one. It's just, we've done 9 studio albums, like we've been
Yeah.
around for 20 years. So after all this time, it's not like I don't feel the need to put out Firewind albums every year or every year and a half. So, I would rather just wait until we can go out there and play some shows first, and then think about a new album. So even though the next tours is not going to be the new album tour, it's going to be, actually we're calling it a 20th anniversary tour. We've booked a tour next year.
Good. Let's hope it
So
happens, because
yeah, that's the thing. We hope it happens. So if it happens, it will be, like a celebration of, 20 years of making records.
it'll be a celebration of life too, because we haven't really lived one in a year.
That too. So, we'll think about a new album right after all this stuff. Yeah.
In terms of well, I lied. I'm going to ask you a second Firewind question.
Yeah. Sure.
As
many as you want, doesn't matter.
I said one, but well, we're talking about your album, so I like to focus on what we're talking about. It seems fair. But obviously you had that experience with OZZY. Was coming back to Firewind or moving on that band forward, was that something that you always wanted to do? Is sort of, even during that OZZY period, say, I'm going to keep going with Firewind and I'm glad I'm back? Or at some point did you think, I got to leave this band and I got to go be Gus G and I got to do something different?
It's a good question. Because it did cross my mind many times.
Yeah.
Because, like with everything in life, I guess there's a circle of things. Like when you feel like you've fulfilled some things, maybe you feel like you need to go and do something else.
Or just grab opportunity.
Yeah. I didn't feel that I needed to go to the next gig right after OZZY though. Like I had offers to join other bands, and big bands and do other auditions and stuff like that. But I just didn't feel the need that it was like the whole, what do you call it? Like the session musician guy type of thing. It wasn't my world as much.
The hired gun, you mean?
Yeah. Hired gun. Yeah. Yeah. So that wasn't really my world. So I thought about it, like, should I continue like going down that path, or maybe join some other band? I don't know, or keep trying with my own thing. And I don't know if I made the right decisions. We will never know.
Well,
I'm glad of the records we made. I'm of course I'm not completely happy with a lot of the things how they went. But I mean, who is? There's always. Things can always happen in different direction. I don't know.
We always look back at what we've done and go, "Oh my God!" Right? Just look at your high school picture. You go, "Oh, was I wearing that hair?" Oh
I'm not saying I regret it. I'm not saying I regret it.
No,
being continuing with Firewind. I'm just saying that maybe we could have done some things differently and better in the band. That's what I'm saying. We've made wrong choices in the band. I don't regret continuing with the band. Of course, it's my band. So. But yeah, it's I think as much as Firewind has like a this small history and all that, we're a pretty troubled band, especially with singers and members coming and going. So that's why I'm actually saying that. But I'm really proud of the work we have done.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this about the hired gun thing, because I just spoke to Leland Sklar, who's the bass player, who's played on like 2,000 things, and he loves being that. He loves being Phil Collins' bassist, and that's great for him. And of course, the money's good. So as a hired gun, you could make a ton of money. We know that, but you don't have the freedom to be creative. It's not your songs. It's not your voice. It's not your writing. Is that where the balance came in for you, where you said, no, I have something to say. The money's nice, but I want to be Gus G. I don't want to be the guy in the shadows that doesn't even get a spotlight.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I always like to me, I've always, and before I went to OZZY's world, I was in my own little world. I was in bands, I was in Green Evil, and I started that band, and, and Firewind and all that stuff. So I've always like written my own songs or co-written with other people. So yeah. And you can say I'm a little bit of a control freak as well. I have a hard time kind of waiting until plans change all the time, by a boss or whatever. So I guess I'm just used to working for myself most of my life.
Right.
And you know, as much as the OZZY experience was incredible and taught me so many things, it's just not like the thing that I wanted to continue for the rest of my life. That type of those types of gigs. So yeah, and of course, that's the thing. Like after OZZY, it's like everything's going to be a downgrade anyways. So where do you go from that unless the band is called Metallica or something?
Yeah, and I have some great pictures of you that I took because I was working the photo pit at the OZZY show in Montreal years ago. I should somehow get those. I'll tweet them out to you so you can see them.
Yeah,
I've got one
please.
where your hair is like full out, like because you were sort of. It's a great shot. I'll tweet it to you later.
Yeah, tweet it. Yeah, please. Yeah.
But yeah, and that's what I was saying in terms of being the hired gun. You come in to make the OZZY record, or you come in to make another record, and they say no, play it slower, no, play it faster, no. That drives you nuts.
I mean, without in OZZY's case, I would have stuck around if there was going to be another album, but there didn't seem to be one. And I think it took 10 years until he made another record, and he didn't use anybody from the band. He went in to work with other producers, and of course, when you're a solo artist, you do that. You collaborate with whoever you want to collaborate. Yeah. That's the whole point of it. So,
by the way, I like the Andrew Watt stuff on the OZZY. I think it was fun.
Yeah, me too. I think it was a very good album. There's some. I mean, that song "Under the Graveyard." That's a big song, man. That's amazing. So
yeah,
you know what I mean. So
don't disagree.
Yeah, so it is what it is, and you move on and you go back to doing your own thing. That's how I looked at it. Like, okay, well that era of my life is over, and then I go back into what I know what to do best, and where I feel comfortable.
Let me quickly ask you, and we'll finish on this: the signature guitars for Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
How involved are you? Do you give them the specs and do you work on it? Are you like a tech head where you get in there and you say, I need this and that and put a knob here? Or do they just say, here's a guitar, we're going to stamp your name on it?
No, totally not like that. It's actually, I am very involved into making the guitar. I mean, obviously they have, the shapes and stuff like that. Those right. are already trademarks that they own and all that. But, you customize it, so I tell them, okay, maybe this wood for the body and the neck, and the hardware, I want this and this, and yeah. So it's definitely tailor made to what I like and what I need. So it's a proper collaboration. Yeah.
Right, and it's amazing that you get a signature guitar because not everybody who plays a guitar gets one. So what was that?
Well, it seems like the last few years, it seems like everybody has one.
I know. Well, I was going to save this for later, but the Mitch Lafon signature guitar is coming out next week. No,
there you go.
It is. But how exciting was that when Jackson said, "Hey, be our guy"?
That's the thing. That's the thing, because a company like Jackson doesn't give out signature guitars to just anybody, right. And when I saw the roster there, I was like, wow, I would definitely like to be in that company, with Adrian Smith and then Randy Rhoads and legends like that, and Phil Collins. So yeah, that's like, okay, yeah, I'd love to be in that company. Yeah. And I mean, those guys have it down, man. Like, they have the right team, they're really genius with marketing ideas, fresh ideas. So and they know how to sell guitars, and how they know how to make great guitars, and their master builders are amazing. And I've been to their factory many times, and it's just great. It's an honor to work with a company like that. So every time that we are we set to design a new instrument, it's I mean, to me, it's like a blessing. It's a dream come true.
Yeah. Well, listen, you certainly got it going on. I mean, you get your own signature. You played with OZZY. You've got your own instrumental album. I mean, come on. For a kid from Greece, you're doing pretty good.
Not bad.
Not bad. Not bad. I will remind everybody that Gus G Quantum Leap, the 2 CD digipack, is currently available for pre-order at the AFM Record official label store. Only $13, by the way, which that's a deal right there. And it ships, of course, on October 8th. And as we say in Montreal, merci, Gus. Always a pleasure. And I will tweet out that picture to you after so you can see
Please
it.
do.
It's a beauty. But
Please do. Thanks.
merci. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitch. Take it easy, man.
Cheers. Bye-bye now.
All the best. Bye.
All right, let's stop that recording. And there you go. Thank you.